Namaste, my beautiful queens, my beautiful kings, if any. Technical issue, and I deleted the video about self-forgiving. Something was not going well with my phone or whatever, and deleted. And I consider this subject extremely important. So I am re-recording the video. I hope you like my cracking sound. It's a fireplace. It's one of my dream to live facing the ocean or the sea. Another is to have a fireplace in the house. I don't live far away from the ocean. I can drive there. It's about 10 minutes drive, but I don't have a fireplace. So I have fireplace cracking sound in YouTube. You can get a cracking sound fireplace in 10 hours, 12 hours like that. But I wish I had a fireplace. So self-forgiving. Why it is so important. I will, as I already said, I will put a link to the more information and to the more dynamic and to the more methods to work with it underneath this video. Again, this is my favorite website, lonerwolf.com, of these two unbelievable, wonderful, beautiful souls who care so much for people. So they put the incredibly priceless information together. Please link there, because I will not have time to tell you everything here. So self-forgiveness is the problem for many of us, and sometimes these events could happen, I don't know, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. And we feel two things. Usually people feel two things: shame and guilt, or you can call it self-loathing. Shame, as it's written by Luna and Soul, and I completely agree with it. Shame is the cancer of the psyche. Shame and guilt, those things, they eat away at us slowly. They eat away at us slowly, and they are tainting everything we experience with its ridiculous dark glow of self-loathing. So self-forgiveness, why it is important. And please understand that we all, at some point, at some time, we all have done something we could be sorry about. We all betrayed someone intentionally or unintentionally. We probably overstepped the boundaries of someone. We crossed the line somewhere. We inflicted harm intentionally or unintentionally. Sometimes it happens unintentionally. We all have done it, of course. None of us are saint, okay? There are no saint people. We are here to make mistakes, to learn our mistakes. So but you have to understand that some of us seeing ourselves like monsters. We are no monsters. We are the beings of light, which while we are in human form, we can make mistakes. I want to say right away that neither me nor people writing articles about it, we are not trying to excuse anything you've done or I've done or somebody else have done. Self-responsibility is absolutely crucial. But I am here to voice of my compassion. Please hear me and understand this very important thing. Hating yourself will not make anything better. Hating yourself will not make your life better, your relationship better. It's not going to make nothing better. It's time for self-forgiveness. What is self-forgiveness? What the heck is the self-forgiveness, right? Self-forgiveness, when you have to practice forgiving yourself for what you have done you think wrong in the past. This includes changing how you see it, your perception of yourself and what happened through the eyes of self-compassion and self-understanding. You got to understand that you have to practice. You have to do it. You have to, because the wounds, they need healing. They're not going to go by themselves. Self-forgiveness is the practice of forgiving yourself of the things you've done in the past. And it involves changing your perception of yourself and what happened to you through the eyes of your self-compassion and self-understanding. How? How the heck? By understanding the deeper mechanics of why you did what you did. Why have you done what you have done? And then you need to hold yourself, like hug yourself with self-love. Why this is necessary? Because you can't be free if you don't do it. You can't start new if you don't do it. You can't move on if you don't become free. As simple as that. You need to become free. So actions that make us feel guilty. Anything can be the reason. You stole something, you lied to someone, you hurt someone, you cheated on someone, you whatever. Again, I am not here to approve the wrong actions. I am not here to find excuses. I'm not telling you to excuse yourself. This is not what I'm talking about. Okay? I am talking about self-forgiving. When you can't forgive yourself, this puts you into this dark room, kind of, in which you are staying sometimes for years without being able to come out. Again, it's vital to have a certain level of guilt and shame after hurting ourselves or someone else. It's crucial to have it, because without guilt, how would we know we did something wrong? But dwelling in guilt and shame can become toxic. And believe it or not, the higher developed being you are, the more compassionate being you are, the more guilty you feel for little things. Empaths tend to blame themselves for everything. So if guilt and shame became toxic for you, if you can't get rid of it, when you can let go, when you can move on, then you have the lack of self-forgiveness. Self-forgiveness, how can you achieve it? Why you need to try to understand and forgive yourself, what you can achieve after self-forgiveness. Self-forgiveness gives you a new start in your life. Self-forgiveness makes you spread your wings, makes you transform. You stop dwelling in the past. How many of us dwell in the past? Many. You begin living, and you will learn to live in the present moment. You will see the future as something brighter and lighter. And the crucial words for everyone: self-love, self-understanding. Without forgiving yourself, you can never achieve self-love and self-understanding. Then if you can't forgive yourself, forgiving others as well can be a problem. If you can't forgive yourself, and then automatically you have issues forgiving others, then all this weight is weighing down your heart and you can't even breathe sometimes. If you forgive yourself, you learn on your mistake, you transform, and then you can forgive the others. This is necessary. So how the heck to forgive yourself for past mistakes? We are going to speak about 8 steps here. If you want to write it down, but you don't have to. I'm going to link the article under this video. Number 1, you see, it's not an easy process, but it is doable. It is doable. This needs to be healed so you can move on. You see, when you don't heal, you can't move on, and you keep on stepping into the same trap. First, understand that you cannot change the past. First step, understand that you cannot change the past. The past is done. The past is gone. You cannot change what has already been done. Now, understand it clearly that dwelling sometimes obsessively or like in that what could have been done, what should have been done, it's waste of your time and energy. Oh, if I just didn't do this, or if I haven't done it, if I haven't said it, if I have, what is the point? That it's like you are being constantly miserable and unhappy for the birthday cake you ate when you were 5. It makes no sense. It's done. It's gone. Beating yourself up, achieving nothing. It just causes yourself heart rate. It just causes you hating yourself. It causes you being stuck in the past. How can you fix what happened? You can't. The only way you can fix it, just let it stay there. Move forward. Move forward. The only way is to let your mistakes teach you and transform you. Obsessing over the past cannot transform you anyhow. The past is done, is gone. You cannot alter it. You cannot fix it. You cannot change it. Just let it be there. That cake when you were 5 or 6 was wonderful, but it's done, it's gone. What is the point to eating yourself from deep inside, chewing yourself on the deep inside with what you have done or haven't done? Makes no sense. Accept it, let it be in the past, it's gone. Number 2, reflect on your level on consciousness then versus now. I'll explain, it's easy. Reflect on your level of consciousness then versus now. So we are doing the best we can based on the level of consciousness we have in the moment. I'll repeat it again. We all do the best we can based on the level of consciousness we have at the moment. What does it mean? Based on the level of consciousness we have. It means that throughout our life, we all have different degrees of mental, emotional, and spiritual maturity. You cannot expect a 5-year-old boy to understand the high math from a 3rd-year university. We all throughout our life have different degrees of mental, emotional, and spiritual maturity. All right? So, of course, when you were 5, it was one. When you were 15, it was another. When you're 25, it's another. When you are 95, it's another. So, you then, when you have done something you feel ashamed or guilty, and you right now are completely 2 different people. It was you then, and it's you now. There is a book called Me Before You. So you then is not you now. Your life had changed. You grew. You developed, you aged, you had more experiences, you have learned more, seen more, sensed more, understood more. Even your body had changed. Nothing in you hasn't changed. Only your soul hasn't changed. Your true soul, your true self, your true essence hasn't changed. So, why you keep on resisting yourself? Just sit and do some self-search and see the truth. In the moment when you have made that mistake in the past, you had different level of consciousness. If it was you now, you understanding everything what you understand right now, you wouldn't have done it. So what is the point? You weren't aware, probably. You weren't awake, probably. You didn't have the level of understanding things, maybe the karma, dharma, the wheel of samsara or whatever. Or probably your shadow temporarily took over you, because we all have shadows. Most of us do. And your shadow temporarily took over you. And you had been on a different level of consciousness. Now, knowing what you know on your level of consciousness, you would have never done it. But back then, you didn't know. So understand it, and this will help you leave the past in the past. Number 3, see your mistake as a reflection of shadow self. Shadow, I just started talking about it. We all have shadows. I do. Even though many people say that my shadow is very, not a very not very powerful. Somehow it's just my nature, because I have too much fire in me. So shadow doesn't have too good of a place to survive with someone who has so much fire energy, of a fire, of a flamey fiery energies. But doesn't mean I don't have it. I have it as well. So we all have the shadow side. We all have the dark side, shadow side. This is that place within us which many of us prefer not to look at. This is the moon card. And the devil. When you meet with the devil, then the devil makes you look into your shadow. When you fall in love with that man who is married and has 5 children, but your pull to him is so insane that you are stepping over all your moral principles and life principles, telling yourself, I can't. Let me just experience it once in a lifetime, what it is like to be in his arms. You are looking in the face of your shadow. This is just one of the examples. So the dark side is usually unconscious, and it was formed due to experiences in life that taught us that certain part of us were good and other part of us were bad. It is so-called shadowy self. Shadowy self, part that causes us to self-sabotage. Shadowy self causes that part of us which causes us feel jealousy, or be blinded by anger, or lie, or cheat, or hurt other people. This is done by shadowy side. So maybe it's crucial to remember that the shadowy side, my beautiful queens, is a very small part of us. If we take Mishka, for example, Mishka, come here. So a shadowy side would be like the tip of his paw right here. I don't have any shadowy side. No, you don't have any shadowy side. You're pure light. So this is you. And a shadowy side, being honest with you, it's about probably 10% of us. So probably this tip of his paw would be a shadowy side. We all have it. So you have to remember and you have to understand that it is a small part of you. It's not whole of you. It's a small part of you. So when you struggle to forgive yourself, what happens? What mistake you do? You tend to identify your whole self with just a shadow part of yourself. And you forgetting all the kindness of you, all loving of you, or bright and loving and the shining part of you. And you think that when you can't forgive yourself, that your whole being is that shadowy side of yours. That's not true. That's not true. Shadowy side is like a tip of his paw. It's a little part of you. It's not a whole of you. Whatever you did is not a reflection of your true nature. You see, the soul is not capable of doing anything dark or shadowy. So what you have done could be a result of your unexamined shadow erupting to the service of your life and wrecking what you believed in. You see, shadow work is also important. You can't do the shadow work clicking the link I am gonna give you. Shadow part helps us to go through transformation. But here I'm talking about forgiving yourself. Stop identifying your shadowy side with a whole of your nature. It's part of you. Number 4, creatively express your grief and regret. Of course, anyhow you want. You see, when we make a mistake, when we do something, we have done something, something not right, this awaken a very serious thing called toxic shame. Again, you can find more information in the link. Toxic shame. I did make a video about it. It's important that we make space to process these feelings. Okay? It's just sometimes when you are going through this self-punishment, facing, feeling, experience what's going on inside, it's vital of healing, because when you just running or suppressing it, it's not gonna work. So the process of your complicated grief and regret, try to find creative outlet for this. Something. It can be anything. As I already told you, like I write, of course. I started to paint about a year ago, and turned out to be, I actually can paint, not that bad. Painting, drawing, I mean crocheting, singing, writing songs, dancing. Find yourself something in where you can find the outlet for all those feelings and emotions. Put it, I already told you in one of my posts, put it, make it a fire for your creativity, because each one of you is creative. Each one of you is creative. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to be a Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Caravaggio, Raphael Santi, or Gustav Klimt. You don't have to be. You just have to find something creative for your self-expression, where you can express your guilt or your regret or your shame. For example, you've betrayed somebody who trusted you in the past. Create something, piece of art, based on a feeling of this betrayal. Write a poem, write I don't know, a story, I don't know, smell it, taste it, sculpt it, do something. It's really helping a lot. Number 5, work with your inner archetypes. Archetypes are types of energy or patterns of energies which can find inside of people. Archetypes can be, my archetype is a warrior. I'm a warrior. You know, I am this woman with a sword. Actually, I'm a queen of wands, but I do have a sword in, never mind. The warrior, the maiden, the hero, the mother, the victim, the wise man, so on. So work with your archetype. Compassion archetype, winner archetype, wisdom archetype, mother archetype. Again, you want to know more about it, I'm going to leave the link under this video. Number 6, what needs were unmet at that time. There was this psychologist whose name was Marshall Rosenberg, and he wrote such words: turning our attention to the part of the self which chose to act in the way that led to the present situation, we ask ourselves, when I behaved in the way which I now regret, what need of mine was I trying to meet? I believe that human beings are always acting in the service of need and values. This is true whether the action does or does not meet the need, or whether it's one we end up celebrating or one we end up regretting. So you were trying to get a need met in the best way you knew back then in the moment. So treat yourself with some compassion and explore what you need and what you were trying to satisfy. Was it the need to be loved? Was it the need to be respected? Was it the need to be seen? Was it the need to be heard? Or the need to feel safe? In my case, it's always connected with love. It's like L-O-V-E, L-O-V-E. So please click the link under this video, explore more of it, and do a letting go ritual is number 7. The ritual is in the article. I ran out of time. My beautiful queens and kings, I hope it was helpful. Sorry that I accidentally deleted previous video, but I have, done it, redone it, so now my heart is calm. I can calmly try to fall asleep. No, I'm not going to fall asleep. It's only around midnight. That's not the time to sleep for me yet. Wishing you all the best, my beauties, and hugs and love to you. Namaste.